Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Israel Connection. I'm Esti Zenati, and my guest today is HarPaz. He's originally from Detroit, Michigan. He's an American-Israeli singer, songwriter, actor, and more. From his massive success as a member of Israel's iconic boy band High Five to his recent soul-stirring run on HaKokhav Haba, Israel's next start to the Eurovision. Michael's artistry has always remained deeply rooted in his heritage. Beyond the stage, he has become a vital voice for Israel and Jewish identity, particularly through his social media activism. You may know him from his powerful videos in the parking garage that champion the Israeli point of view and spark conversation. Michael, thank you so much for joining me today.
You can just keep on. I'll just stand here and listen to you just keep, throwing out the accolades. This is great.
Yeah.
It's way better than my usual kind of day-to-day.
Yeah, I try to get the best parts of everything and put it together.
You're very sweet. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, my pleasure. So, Michael, what was it like for you growing up as a Jewish kid in Detroit in the 80s?
Yeah, well, I'm actually a little bit the 70s and the 80s. I was born and kind of grew up in the Jewish suburbs of Detroit in a little city called Huntington Woods, Michigan. And I went to a Jewish, hold on, let me close this window. I lived right by Ichilov Hospital, which for people that don't know where that is, it's right in the center of town, and there's a helipad where helicopters land.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's for a good reason. For the past couple of months, every time a helicopter flew by, it was for a bad reason. So hopefully it's just someone's having a baby. God willing. Anyway, I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit. I went to a Jewish day school, Hillel Day School. It's kind of like a Salman Schechter type of education system. Then I went to the public high school in my neighborhood, and then I was accepted to the University of Michigan musical theater program in the School of Music, and went there for a year and ended up getting my degree in Judaic and Near East studies with a minor in Hebrew literature, which I never, by the way, thought I would use that degree. It's really weird how the world kind of, we make plans and God laughs.
Yeah.
In my heart, I always wanted to sing and perform, but I went to college and got this degree, and really a very sort of, unless you're going to teach, or make hasbara videos 30 years down the line, it's not really.
You never know. I mean, I never thought that I would be hosting a podcast about Israel. So.
Right. So yeah. So anyway, so growing up the Detroit Jewish community is a very strong, powerful, tight-knit community, very affluent. There's also sort of inside that community, there's little micro communities. It's not like, like in New York, where you have like the Persian Jewish community and but you do have like the Israelis, and then you have these sort of the American Jews. And my father, who passed away last year, was sort of one of the sort of pillars of the Israeli Detroit community, having been there since the early 60s. My dad was born. Is this good? You want all the bio? Am I boring you to death?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, because I wanted to ask you also about your connection to Israel growing up.
Edit this, by the way, afterwards, or this is live to tape, and what you see is what you get.
It's not live. We can cut it out. We can cut whatever afterwards.
This part right here, for example, when I ask you,
this is good. Yes. Good.
This okay. Yeah. So because I can go on and on. It's a long,
I have time. I'm not in a hurry.
So very, very quickly, just to give you context, my father was born here in Israel. And my mother was born in a displaced persons camp in Georgia, Russia. When my father was 16, his father, who was born in Alexandria, Egypt, was sick he got sick with kidney disease, and his wife had survived the war because she was on the last boat out of Europe as one of the one of the members of like the advocacy movement. You know, they sent Jews from Europe to Palestine at the time, and she was on like one of the last boats. Her sister, however, was not so lucky and sort of made the rounds at many different concentration camps, death camps, and miraculously survived and made it to Detroit. And the Israeli Magen David Adom, which is the Israel version of the Red Cross, on Friday evenings before the beginning of Shabbat would play names of survivors who had survived the Holocaust, who were looking for their relatives. And my grandmother, my father's dad's wife, heard her sister's name on the radio. So she went to Detroit because her sister had survived the Holocaust. And when she came back and she found that her husband was ill with kidney failure, there was no dialysis in Israel, but there was at the University of Michigan, even in the 60s. So the whole family moved to Detroit.
Wow.
And my father was a violin virtuoso, and my mother was a jazz singer, and they fell in love at a Jewish sleepaway camp called Herzl Camp in Wisconsin. She was the head of the girls' music department, and he was the head of the guys' music department. And when I was 4 and my sister Daniela was 7, my father decided to leave his psychotherapy practice and do a sabbatical, a Shabbaton, here in Israel for a year. I was 4.5. That's when I learned Hebrew, and that's when that was my first experience in this country. I'm in Tel Aviv right now. I don't know, for those of you who don't know, I'm literally standing in this, and I and then moved back, and then I continued growing up in Detroit. My father continued to scream at me in Hebrew, as did all of our Israeli relatives. I grew up in that sort of we had this very tight-knit Israeli core, this Gavin, and it was great. It was beautiful. You know, I think about it very often, but it sort of brings a tear to my eye. We would sit around the Friday night table. We would sing songs. It was beautiful. It was glorious.
Yeah, it's fun to reminisce and just think about all those, memories from back in the day. Yeah. So it sounds like you have pretty musical background, like from your family as well.
Yes, I grew up in a very, very musical family. My mom was a jazz singer. My dad played guitar, mandolin, and violin. My sister sings and was a flautist. And I learned to sing at the Friday night dinner table. My father would come home from work. My mom would have prepared a feast for all of us. We had this rule that my father was very old school, he was very like tough love, lots of love, but tough love regardless. Anyway, we had to wear ties, like suit and tie to dinner. But after dinner was over, before dessert, he would pull out the guitar and we would sing around the table.
Ah, that's fun.
Yeah.
So when was the latest, not the latest one, like the move you made to Israel before joining High Five? That was later on in your life, right?
Right. So I've done a couple different tours of duty here. I had a bar mitzvah here, and when I was 16, I did a summer here. I volunteered on a kibbutz in Ramat HaShofet. I lived here for a summer, and then I did a semester at Tel Aviv University my junior year, and then I moved to Israel. I was here in the 90s. I was in this little band for a couple of years. We had a pretty decent run. And then I left the band, and then I came back here this last time has been since 2006. That's when I couldn't live without my now wife, and so I moved back to Israel to be with her, and Kach Giburim Naflu, as they say.
That's it. You fall in love, and that is it.
Thus heroes have fallen. Anyway, yes. It's worth it. I'm not complaining. Just for the record.
Look,
If
after
she's
all these
listening,
years, you know.
if she's listening, not complaining.
Um, so what was it like for you, like the first experience of like how did you even find out about High Five? And I know there were auditions, right? And somebody put you guys together.
So when I graduated University of Michigan with this degree in Hebrew literature, and the Near East and Judaic studies, I tried to work for my uncle in his energy management company, but deep, deep, deep inside me, I always knew that I was going to marry an Israeli and that I was going to, excuse me, not in that order, well, maybe in that order, but regardless, to marry an Israeli woman and perform. I couldn't fight it. My dad used to say to me, I don't care what you do, just be the best at it that you can do. So if you want to be a chef, don't work at McDonald's. Not that there's anything wrong with McDonald's, love McDonald's, but go to France, learn how to. So if you want to sing, don't busk on the street, which I did for many, many years, by the way. But try and excel. So I couldn't fight it, and I did exactly that. I left Detroit. I got on a train with my guitar, went to New York, very Simon and Garfunkel style. Played my guitar the whole train ride there. Got the whole train singing. Just I haven't thought of these memories in so long. It triggers all kinds of. Anyway, I slept on my friends' couches, and then made it to one of my closest friend, Alan. He let me just live with him, basically rent free. And one day after I was done kind of busking, I was invited to a screening of an Israeli film called Shirat Sirena, Siren Song.
That was a great movie. Yeah, great movie.
So it won the Israel Film Prize, and they were screening it in New York City. And a certain female that I was talking to invited me to this screening, and so we went, and the director Eitan was there with his partner Gal Lachovsky, who I think was producer on the film as well. Anyway, they met me, they liked my whole Hebrew English thing, and then they looked at me and they said something like, you would be perfect to play this American guy that moves to Israel in this new project that we're developing called Florentine, which Florentine was like Israel's version of Melrose, became Israel's version of like Melrose Place or something of that nature. This very legendary, cultish type of show in the 90s. So I shaved my head, got on a plane, and moved to Israel to go be in this TV show. And while I was with Eitan in a cafe on Shankin Street, it's such a cliche. We were going over the script. He was talking about the show, and he showed me an ad in the newspaper for in the classifieds. It's so.
Oh my God, so 90s, yeah.
Right, a classified ad. They're looking for guys aged, after the army to like 25 who can sing and dance and have a certain look. And please call this. And then the name was Captain. I was like, what is Captain? And he's like, it's this guy. His name is Moshe Captain, but everybody calls him Captain. Captain, by the way, later on became, he is now the director of the National Theater in Israel. He directed the Eurovision when I came here. He's a very, very one of the top Israeli entertainment people in the industry and just in general. So he was this, at the time, working for the production, in charge of the auditions for this boy band, which Eitan turned me on to. And I went and I auditioned for the group, and it was a long audition process. They auditioned about 100,000 people. Back then was a lot of people, and
that's a lot.
And the rest is history.
Yes. And someone who grew up, I was like a teenager in the 90s, so I was all about the boy bands at the time. I was mostly Backstreet Boys fan, but at the time it was like, what, they're doing an Israeli boy band? That was
exactly right. They copied it, but exactly copy paste. That was the idea.
Yeah, But mind you, you know, like I know I told you earlier, my sister was a huge fan of High Five, and I was all about Backstreet Boys, so we had our little rivalry at home. But it was fun. To this day, I still have my few favorite High Five songs that are in my playlist.
That's awesome. Yeah, we do have. I mean, what's nice to say. I mean, what's interesting, like the Backstreet Boys, they have a couple more than a couple. I don't want to offend you, but I mean, there are a handful of international global hits that everybody knows. You know, for example, I Want It That Way, right?
Yeah.
So like everybody knows that song. It's crossed generations, it's still being, you know. So in Israel, our band, we had really good music. The Shai Lahav, who was the sort of the band's big brother and in charge of the musical vision of the group, he was half of Hamofar and the Butcher Dr. Casper's Rabbit Show, which is kind of like Israel's version of like Nirvana or something back in the day.
Nirvana on
legendary.
Speed, I don't know, something.
Right, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, something like, you know, he's like Dave Grohl type of thing. You know, he's one half of this very, very successful rock group, and they bring him to do this bubblegum pop group. And he wrote some really good music, and some of the guys in the group that also he allowed us to be, you know, to partner with him and write some songs that, I mean, there are 5-6 songs that are played on the radio here every single day. Our most successful song, I mean, and I'm not saying it's nothing to do with me, for your listeners. I don't want to sound like some aloof. I'm just trying to explain culturally, because it's the band. You know, this happened a long time ago, but, you know, certain things happen sort of over the course of the past 30 years or so, which kind of moved the band into like an even higher legend cultish sort of level, where like one song that we have is a song that won a festival, like a children's music festival.
Oh
back in the 90s, and they teach it in kindergarten. It's like it's the sound of the school bell when they play, you know, a school bell when it's recess. Like you hear that's the song playing on the bell, or it's used in. There's a common sort of cultural thing here to make like these funny videos, like at weddings, or at the end of army, like big army drills. They make these like end of course videos, and they use that song all the time. So, you know, these are. It's not, you know, it's at that level. So it's an honor to be a part of something of that.
Yeah, magnitude.
Magnitude. Thank you. Magnitude was the word I was looking for. I've been here so long, I can't speak English anymore. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun.
I just want to say, because I hear myself speaking, and I must sound like the most pompous ass. I will say it had a lot, 99%. First of all, there were way more than 5 people in High Five. Just people need to understand in general, a band of that nature doesn't just work. It's not just the 5 people on stage. It's a lot of things you don't see going on. Lots and lots of, you know, hundreds of moving parts that if don't happen, the group doesn't happen. But in addition to that, it was the right time, the right place. It was between 2 intifadas, 2 major uprisings in the 90s. So there wasn't all of this insanity that we live with now, or we were living with, you know, prior to. And cable wasn't in the country, so there weren't very many options. And, you know, that's where the insanity came. Like it never happened before. We like landed on, you know, from the moon. They had like the Backstreet. It was like we had our own Backstreet Boys, which was
like a local Backstreet Boys kind of thing.
That was the concept. The concept was a band from out of the country that just happens to sing in Hebrew. Like that was basically the brief.
Right. And I feel like at the time, like looking at all of you guys, even in terms of like the looks of everybody, they kind of tried to emulate, you know, American boy bands in a way, or like, you know, the sensitive one and this and that.
Exactly. That's how they auditioned us. They broke us down. I was the American. We had like the strong guy. We had the pretty boy. We had the cute guy. We had the like academic sort of intense.
Yeah.
You know, everyone had like the, you know, the idea was you could bring us into a room and one of us would appeal to everyone. It's something,
Yeah.
what I mean? Everybody would at least would connect to somebody.
Yeah, that's the boy band formula.
Exactly.
Yeah. So all those years after, you've been working a lot on different music, writing for other people. And then you did HaKokhav Haba, the Eurovision, which, sends Israel's next representative to the Eurovision. What made you go there and do it? Because you were one of the most experienced performers this season, aside from Portrait, I think, and HarPaz, maybe, HarPaz, but yeah.
Yeah. A little bit older than Gala is your age. Gala has a whole
she's
thing
a couple
about
years younger than me. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she's of your generation because she used to come to our show. We had this whole thing about her coming to our shows, and she was kind of like your sister, basically.
Yeah. Yes.
And you can ask her because she told me. I'm just it's public now.
I believe you.
Same with Ninette, by the way, and
Ninette, yes, Ninette is awesome.
Also, Adi Shilon, who is an incredible food creator. For those of you who want to see some really amazing content, check her out. But she is the daughter of sort of the most famous Israeli talk show host in history, and he used to have the most. I mean, he had a show that everybody watched. He had a 98% rating share.
Yeah, he had you guys on the show.
Every week, he had us on the show more than any other band in his history because she was a huge fan. So because of her, we were on that show 20 times, some insane amount of times. Anyway, I digress. So the second in command of the artistic director of HaKokhav Haba is a gentleman by the name of Sivan Young, who was High Five's show manager for a year and a half. He was with us in the van. He knows me. He's like my family. And I saw him at a memorial service for another member of my band, for Amir Felicia Guzman, which is a whole other story, which if you want to, we can talk about that in a second. But anyway, very, very quickly, after he saw me, he asked me if I wanted to be in the show. And I said, as a judge, sure, because, I have the resume to be a judge on the show. All the judges on the show are clients of mine. It's not. Anyway, so he's like, well, I actually thought you'd be good as a contestant on the show. I said, no, thank you. He goes, well, see, think if you can find a way to justify it for yourself. So I went home and I was watching the news, and I saw that Spain had decided to boycott the Eurovision. And then I had this sort of epiphany that the Eurovision was actually a big hasbara. Hasbara, by the way, is advocacy for Israel. Yeah. A big hasbara moment. So I called Sivan and I said, if you let me sort of run on the platform of I'm doing it for hasbara, then I will do your show. Because oftentimes these shows, the contestants who are, mostly, very talented, but they often have these sort of stories that go along with them, very heart-wrenching stories. Someone is disabled, or, God forbid, or someone, the family was affected directly by the war here, in hostage, all kinds of, things that make incredible television, of which I have none, and I didn't want to be this guy, like this boy band refugee. Here's my new single, and here's my new this, and here's my QR code, and that's not my agenda. And thank God, I don't need that. And the Eurovision really is a hasbara moment, and I am heavy into hasbara, which we can talk about also if you want.
Yes.
And have been since October 7th. So they were like, that's weird. Okay, sure, okay, fine. And every time I got on stage, I sort of talked about hasbara because I really wanted to. I said even on camera that I don't care about winning the show. I just want to talk to the Swedish anti-Semite reporter who's going to ask, Noam now, how many Palestinian babies he killed when he was in the Golani Brigade or something, what I mean? Murdered, excuse me. And you need to have an answer for that type of thing. It's the Israel hasbara quotient of the Eurovision is way more important in my eyes than the song, because everybody can sing, and Israel always
that's debatable,
crushes it. But I'm saying Israel always crushes it, in this regard. It's
right.
No one's going to ask the delegation from Malta about the genocide in Gaza.
Yeah.
No one's going to interview the singer from Azerbaijan about how he felt when he murdered a little Palestinian baby. All this nonsense and lies and whatever it is. So that's why I did it, and I had a lot of fun because I got to sing too, which lots of people, because I was in this boy band, which I again loved being in. You often don't get to sort of showcase your sort of solo abilities, as it were, and I get to, which is great.
Yeah, and I can tell you on a personal note, I thought you were my top two. It was you and Noam.
Thank you.
I'm glad one of you won, but I thought that you would be perfect for the whole thing that you talked about, the hasbara and all that stuff. Also, seeing you sing by yourself was very enlightening. It was beautiful. I loved the first audition that you had and everything afterwards. It was beautiful to see you and just to hear your voice, because yeah, and honestly, because with the songs that High Five released, we didn't hear you much. It was mostly a couple other guys, so it was great to hear you as yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I sang a lot of the songs in High Five, but again, it's all ensemble type of thing.
Yeah.
It's all, he sings one line, you sing one line, this guy sings one line. This, it's certainly not
like
the place
that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you went on that show, because I think
so am I.
I know. So what was your takeaway from that after all that experience?
We had a great time. I was honored to be a part of it. I think Noam, has all of the qualities that one requires to represent our country with pride and respect and dignity and all the musicality and musicianship and talent. He's a total package, and he totally deserves to. And the song is great, and Shebat Slacha, and I'll talk. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I hope it goes far. If we win, that's going to be not just for the winning part. I think to make people angry. I want us to make them angry, because if we win, I mean, it means a lot. Again, for the listeners who aren't sort of intimately familiar with the ins and outs of the Eurovision Song Contest, but basically, it's like the Song Olympics. Any country that is a member of the European Broadcasting Union can participate in this song contest. So it's like 50 countries. And the most important part is that the winner of the song contest, their country hosts that contest the following year. So for any country, but certainly for a country like Israel to be the host of the Eurovision, economically and socially and politically, it is a tremendous opportunity. The last time we did it, I mean, 2 million people visited this country in a period of 5 weeks. It's such a big. It really is like the Olympics. They do new signage on streets, and they renovate national parks, and the infrastructure that is permanent. It's a tremendous opportunity for anybody who wins and a great honor. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to know what would happen if we actually won this year and we have to host it.
What would happen? We'd have a great time. Everyone would come and have an amazing time, and it would be safe, and all of the LGBTQ plus whatever other letters there are. I don't know what the current thing, but all of the community at large could come and freely enjoy themselves in the only country in this entire region where someone of that community could freely live and express themselves, just like there was last time. Because this is, and I say this as an honorary member of the gay community, since I was in a boy band, which is one of the gayest things in the world. This is Tel Aviv is one of the gayest cities on earth. I'm the voice, the English voice of gay pride. So, I am professionally qualified to have this conversation and tell you that this is, and beautifully so, one of the gayest cities on earth. And the Eurovision sort of is very much a part of that whole culture. And that happening is that is hasbara in and of itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You wouldn't have to do anything. You just have to come and see it, which it's happened here before, but I mean, like now it's
a whole different thing. Yeah. And we want people to go and see it. We've been telling people, go and see for yourself.
Of course. I would, everybody that has these skewed, misinformed ideas about this country needs to come and see this country.
Yeah.
I always joke about the fact that this being the apartheid Zionist state with everything. Like we have separate roads. We have roads that go north and we have roads that go south. We have separate bathrooms. We have bathrooms for women and bathrooms for men. Anyway.
Yeah. So speaking of all that stuff,
come to Israel. Come see the apartheid. Please come help me find it. This is an open call to anyone. You're all welcome to hit me up, DM me. You'll come to Israel, and I will personally drive you around this country so we can find the apartheid. And when we do, I will make a video and say you win. But if we don't, what happens if we don't, Esti? What do we get? Dinner at
I don't know. Dinner at like the most exclusive restaurant in Tel Aviv. It's gonna be expensive.
Yeah. Dinner like and on top of the Norman or something. I got it. Meidan Siboni, my friend Meidan Siboni, the #1 omakase chef in Israel.
Oh, okay.
That's what I want. All right.
All right.
There we go.
Good luck to everybody.
Thank you. You find the information at the bottom.
Yeah. So speaking of all this stuff, let's go back to the hasbara situation. You started doing your videos after October 7th.
Correct.
What made you decide that I have to go online on social media and start speaking to the people of the world?
Well, during Corona, I would go online and sing and play and do all these live things and whatnot. And I sort of professionally, I'm on camera all the time. That's what I do. I'm an MC. I'm a presenter. Some of you may have seen me as the most guys guy for Particle skin cream, which is this skin cream that I'm the presenter of, and I'm on all sorts of news channels in America all the time, just wearing a suit. In fact, we just launched a brand new campaign like 4 days ago, 4 new spots that we shot. It's an Israeli company, by the way. It's an Israeli startup company. They don't advertise that as such, but it's here. We wrote the spots here, produced them here, and the product, the company is an Israeli company, so it's awesome. It was such a confusing, scary thing that was going on. And I just felt the need to sort of report live what was going on because people were texting me like, what's going on? So I started to do that. And then one evening, I'm very close friends with Selma Blair. She and I went to that day school together. Yeah, she and I grew up together. She also went to Hillel Day School with me in my grade. Her Hebrew name is Batsheva.
Oh.
And she has never spoken about her Judaism ever, publicly, ever. And she was so like shaken by this that she reached out to me and said, I want to do like a live with you. And we did, and it got over 1 million views. Needless to say, she got completely blacklisted and fired from all sorts of projects for doing so. But she's incredibly resilient and an amazing woman, and she's crushing it now, as she always has. But anyway, and then I just started, doing that, and sort of the format sort of molded from one thing into another. I started kind of deciding who I was speaking to, and I kind of was talking mostly to, I mean, to everybody, but to a lot of even like Jews who were sort of uninformed Jews, or people that had a lot of questions, a lot of self-hating Jews, a lot of anti-Semitic Jews. Because there's just such lies out there, and the numbers are overwhelmingly not in our favor. Mm-hmm. And so I just started doing it. And then one day I was in my parking lot underneath my building, and I liked the acoustics there. And I posted a video about the Oscars and the red-blooded pins, but not this last Oscars, the Oscars.
Yeah, the one before, right? Yeah.
The one before. And it got, I don't know, like 300,000 views. I was like, what? Oh, I quickly made another one. And unfortunately, because we were in the middle of this insane war with the hostages, and we were just in the beginning, the world just kept on giving me subjects to talk about, unfortunately. And I just kept on doing it. The reactions I got, the traction I got, kind of grew and grew and grew. And then I just felt sort of just a personal need to keep on doing it, because someone's got to do it. And I don't care about the algorithm. My philosophy is, if Hamas or the Iranian regime is proud enough to capture their disgusting acts on camera, then I sure as hell am going to speak about it. Even though, so for example, if someone is raped, I say rape. I don't say grape. If someone is murdered, I don't say unalived. I sometimes use every once in a while a little bit of off-color language, but only when I think it's absolutely necessary. And I think it is necessary. So TikTok sort of shadow bans me a lot, but Instagram doesn't. And I just keep on doing it when I find it's not paid for. No one's paying me. There's no. Yeah. I have no angel investor. It's just me in my parking lot.
It's you in the parking lot.
Me in the parking lot.
And you know what? I love those videos because you say everything you want to say in their faces, and you don't shy away from words and expressing yourself. And I share your videos all the time. It's like I feel like people need to hear these things, especially when you're talking about it being in Israel, and especially recently with the war that was going on, going to shelter and handling your kids, and through the whole thing. I think it's important. People need to hear about that, because people have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, I find also that, like, Americans in general, people that don't live here are riveted to just hear about the experience. I have a show that I do called Michael HarPaz Songs and Stories from Tel Aviv, where I perform, not here, but like, in the United States or Canada, in English-speaking countries primarily, where I do like a 25-minute acoustic set where I sing, and then there's a montage of these videos that I make, and then we have like a town hall where people just want to ask, things you never think about, when you are living in a war, in an active war zone.
Yeah.
Which we are, by the way.
Yeah.
As of this taping, I just want to clarify, not to get into it too much, Esti, but I just want to clarify that there is a ceasefire in Tel Aviv. Okay, if you leave this area and you go north to the top of this country, it's quiet, but all things are still happening there. It's not a ceasefire the way you think it's a ceasefire.
Right. I mean, that's
Nothing
what,
sucks.
yeah. I mean, and Israelis have been dealing with that for years. This is nothing new.
Which is crazy, by the way. Just for
Yeah,
anybody to put that sort of in perspective, if you are in Baltimore and somebody was shooting missiles into West Virginia, you would not be like, all right, anyway, so what's for dinner this evening?
right. Yeah. What kind of feedback did you get from outside of Israelis, like from people around the world, not even Jewish? Any
For
like
my videos,
harsh, yeah, for your videos.
I get a lot of I get some hate and I get a lot of love as well. I mean it's more love than hate because I'm trying to educate people and I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm just trying to educate people.
Mhm.
But yeah, I get all kinds of horrible, disgusting threats against my kids and such. I mean, I listen, I do live in Tel Aviv. You know what I mean? I don't live in Detroit, for example, or
Right.
Baltimore or anywhere else. Um, I'm not sure if I would feel quite as free or safe to be as vocal as I am if I didn't live where I live, but I do live where I live. And so, because I have that, people are going to think I'm crazy. I have the luxury of living in Israel. Then I feel like I have the responsibility at least to explain to people what's going on. I can use that safety at least to be productive in some way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. It's something that I talked to other guests on the podcast before, that being Jewish in Israel feels a lot safer than being Jewish anywhere else.
1,000%, without
Yeah,
question. There's almost no random acts. I was about to say there's no random acts of violence in this country, but as of
there
late,
are, unfortunately,
unfortunately,
but
there
yeah,
have been some, but we don't need to get into that right now. But
yeah,
for the most part, no one is going to go into someone's high school with a semi-automatic machine gun that they bought at the general store down the street and start picking off students. And if they do, then the guard with the gun will put a bullet through his head, quickly.
right.
No one's going to start. There'll be no sniper at a concert in the park. You know, there are missiles and there's terrorism and it's horrible, but just the whole sheer violence, like from societal violence,
Yeah.
is not even close to the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, anti-Semitism. The fact that
No
you feel
anti-Semitism.
safer in Israel with the rockets and missiles and the war, everything going on, you feel safer there than in the US should tell a lot of people
Especially if
something.
you have children, without
Yeah.
question.
Mhm.
The whole adolescence experience in this country is way more tame than it is in the United States. Way less drugs and alcohol. I mean, it exists, but even the
Yeah, there are
kinds of
other things,
drugs
but
that the kids are doing and stuff, it's mostly some drinking and some cannabis, but no one's doing pills and all kinds of. It's not America. They don't have the teenage pregnancy rates that they do there. They don't have the like the suicide rates. Again, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but they don't. It's just not the same. It's a much more, in my opinion, a much better place to raise children in terms of quality of life as opposed to quantity. And there's no anti-Semitism. And you get a free Jewish education. Kids speak Hebrew.
yeah. Yeah, they don't do that here very much, but yeah.
That ain't cheap. So I hear.
Yeah.
I mean, neither is living in the center of Tel Aviv, but that's a totally different podcast.
Living in central Tel Aviv is a whole different experience, I feel like, than living anywhere else in Israel.
Yes.
It's like, a branja, all the celebrities, all the artists live in that area.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you ever feel that your advocacy work conflict with your creative flow, or does it contribute to it?
I don't, not really. I mean, I sort of draw on kind of like one of the sort of, I kind of I don't speak the same way on these videos as I do, that I'm speaking to you now. It's
Right.
sort of like a little bit an alter ego, but a little bit more for the camera, because I'm trying to get this rant out without messing it
Yeah.
up. So, I mean, in that way, it helps me because it's great for my, just, professionally. But I don't, no, I don't think so. I don't think one has anything really to do with the other, except for on this show where I was really combining the two because that's why I was trying to win the show because I wanted to represent us
Right.
advocacy wise in this contest.
Yeah. But also it was different, I guess, because it's not in the same manner that you would do those
Right.
videos.
But again, yeah, I mean, like I said, I have the show where I play, and I have another show that I wrote just now with my friend Hananel Edri. He's the very talented singer that was on this viral clip with the guy singing with the president of Argentina, that went all over the
Oh,
internet.
yeah.
The guy with the hat. So he
Yeah.
and I are very good friends, and he's a very talented performer. And we have this two-man show that we just finished writing called Depends on the Context, which is basically hasbara through music and comedy. It's the two of us with a pianist. We literally just finished like writing it. Scoop. Coming soon to a Jewish community.
So you're planning on touring around Jewish communities around the world?
Right. Yes. Both with this solo show of mine, this Songs and Source in Tel Aviv, and this depends on the context. Gratuitous plug. Gratuitous plug.
Yeah, come to Baltimore.
Let's go. You heard it here first. I know somebody in Baltimore who can make it happen. Esti.
I'll try. But yeah, I think that sounds really good. Very interesting.
Right.
Yeah, I think the Jewish community would love that.
I concur.
Yeah. So I talked to you about this before. During the latest war, a lot of the Israeli artists, like singers, musicians, theater people, everybody suffered because a lot of shows got canceled. How did it affect you professionally and personally?
Oh my God. I mean, it's very challenging. We're the first industry, the first one, literally the first one that gets chopped off at the knees every time that something like this happens. And we're also the first people that are called to come and volunteer to go perform for morale to either soldiers in the field or wounded soldiers, God forbid, in hospitals, sort of gratis, which is, it's on the one hand, you lose all of your paying gigs because no one is allowed to congregate. On the other hand, you need to go out and perform under, missile fire, and risk your life for free. Now, again, the soldiers obviously have it much, much worse than we do, and God bless them for all that they do. But you asked me how it affects the entire industry professionally. That is basically what happens. And of course, by the time the government sort of gets around to trying to help those artists or those people that work in entertainment, it's not just the artists, it's the crews and the cater, it's everything that's surrounding, everything stops, Right. You have a show that just everything gets canceled, all the time, the effort, it's very difficult. Very difficult.
Has anything changed at the moment, or is it still the same?
So as of this taping, like I said, we have this sort of very weary ceasefire here. So things, are sort of normal, the new normal, whatever that is. So shows are planned and events are happening.
Okay.
Although tonight, the Home Front Command is supposed to issue a new set of rules. So we shall see. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. I mean, obviously the circumstances are what they are, but
of course, obviously, if you need to do it, you need to do it. But who knows? It could be all of the gigs that I just kept on talking to you about could all be gone by the in an hour at 8:00 when they do this. So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully something good will happen soon.
God willing. Bezrat Hashem.
Bezrat Hashem. Michael, if you could write a song that
Yes.
captures the current spirit of the Israeli people? What would be the core message or like the hook of the song?
Yeah, I was working on something like that actually. Well, interesting question. I had a couple different ideas, but I would probably say "Amen" would be like "Amen" would be
Mhm.
the hook. You know,
Yeah.
just you have to be thankful. You really do. You need to be thankful for every day. I mean, as hokey as it sounds, you know, I wake up in the morning, I say "Modeh," which means the thank you. You're thanking, you know, God for putting your soul back into your body and allowing you to experience the day. And if you do that, it's sort of like my way of appreciating, because this, especially where I live, I mean, that can happen to anybody. You know, you go walk outside and get hit by a bus, but you know, in this country, I mean, we could be talking, you know, 2 weeks ago, I could be talking, we tried to do this very thing
For a while.
many,
Yeah.
many times. And I was literally talking the phone, and a siren, I don't know if you remember, like one of the times we were
Yes.
talking, a siren went off and I had to run downstairs. So that's the reality that I live in, you know?
Yeah. It's a tough reality, but you know, we do what we can, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone, like on other artists that want to speak out on social media but are maybe scared of the consequences?
Well, only do something you feel comfortable doing, you know, especially if there are other people that it involves, you know, if you're a single person as opposed to, you know, your family and children, there's children involved. You have to be very careful. It's not a joke. There are crazy people out there. Um, so you need to be able to just, you know, take that into consideration, because you're not talking about how to make the best, you know, chocolate souffle. Um, but other than that, speak your heart, speak your truth. What I do.
Yeah, as simple as that. Yeah. Um, so I have last question. I think it's a little deeper than the other ones. I feel like when people reflect.
Last question. Sorry.
The last question. Yeah, almost done. When people reflect on your life's work for like 30 years from now, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Honestly, I really just I hope people just would think that I tried to do as best as I could do and give what I could give with the time that I was here, to be able to, you know, use with, you know, my humble position of wherever I happen to be in my life to spread goodness, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good thing. All right. Well, if anybody's in Israel anytime soon, what do you have coming up? What kind of shows? Where?
I have a show on June 18th at the Zappa Tel Aviv with this band called the 90s Show. It's a bunch of 90s Israeli 90s stars. Myself, Ron Rosenfeld from the band Portrait, Uri Banai is going to perform, and there's a special guest star, but I'm not allowed to tell you who that is. But he is a big, big, big Israeli rock star, also from the 90s. That's happening on June 18th. There is I'm emceeing a couple big national Israeli events that I don't even want to talk about on camera, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to. But yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff in the pipeline. But and I have this men's this particle skin cream campaign that I just launched, that's playing on across the United States, on every major news network. So guys over 40, make sure you wear your sunscreen. You don't want to get melanoma. It's not fun.
Definitely
But
not
that's
fun.
it. You can see me on. I'm also on El Al. You can see me on if you fly El Al, you can see me on the El Al frequent flyer presenter.
Are you bringing the Elton John shows back at some point?
Lots of Elton John shows here in Israel, not performing in the
Yes.
States, because nobody
Yes.
wants to see me sing Elton John in America when you can see Elton John sing in America. But here, yeah, we do have a couple shows coming up. A lot of them were canceled because of the war. We still haven't rescheduled all of them, but I will definitely be posting as soon as I have dates.
All right. So hopefully we're gonna all have flights soon because I'm trying to get to Israel also in the summer. And yeah, and then will everybody go see Michael?
Please, you're all welcome.
Yes. All right, Michael, thank you so much for being here. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for being so patient and with my insane existence over here.
It was totally worth it.
Thank you. Toda rabba.
And thank you all for listening. Until next time.